Hello, I'm Darren the Magic Ghostbuster. Now, I have been ghostbusting a long time, probably longer than I would like to admit, to be honest. There's a lot of new people coming into the fandom. Many of those want to go to conventions and dress up and cosplay as a Ghostbuster, and I think that has only increased because of Hasbro's Plasma Series Spengler pack, which I have here. Now, as I said, I've been doing this a long time, so I just thought I'd do this video to go over how I put my costume together. I'll go over some other options as well, and hopefully it'll help someone out there. But I think the key to remember is whether you're dressing up as a Ghostbuster, Batman, any other character, it's your costume, so you do it how you want it to be. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the jumpsuit. As you can see, I'm wearing mine here. Now, there's many options for lots of different price levels when it comes to your jumpsuit or flight suit. Now, my one is a true spec, and it served me well for a long time. I got this off gbfans.com many years ago. It's starting to wear a bit thin now, a couple of little tiny holes in a couple of places, but it's, like I said, it's lasted a long time, so we'll have to get a new one soon, I guess. Other brands people have used, Nomex flight suits, Gibson and Barnes, who I believe made the jumpsuits for Ghostbusters 2, if I remember right. HalloweenCostumes.com or .co.uk or you know, whatever. They got websites in many other countries. They do various jumpsuits and obviously officially licensed as well. You could also just buy some beige coveralls. I'm sure there's plenty of other brands depending on what country you're in. I've seen some people buy some like beige coveralls for £20 off Amazon in this country in the past, and you know, they look fine generally. And you know, some fans will nitpick at, you know, that pocket placement is wrong and all that sort of stuff, but what you have to remember is that, number one, like I said in the intro, this is your costume. You can do whatever you want. If you want bright pink costume or whatever, go for it. That's entirely up to you. But it's only super fans like me that are going to be quite like, oh yeah, that pocket is not quite right or whatever. And I wouldn't do that to your costume anyway, but there's fans like that out there. But 99% of people are not going to know the difference. So when you're at a costume, at a convention or an event, most people are just going to see a Ghostbuster. They're not going to notice the difference. So just go with whatever's in your budget. Now, there's this new company, or I don't think they're new, I think they've been around a long time, but they've started doing Ghostbuster stuff in the last sort of year. Magnoli, I think it's Magnoli, Clothiers, and they've done what is supposed to be one of the more accurate screen accurate jumpsuits. Now, I know a couple of people have bought it and they said they were very happy with their purchase. It is quite pricey because they are custom made, so that is also an option. Okay, so patches. It's not very difficult to get a Ghostbusters No Ghost patch. There's plenty of them on eBay, Etsy, all over the internet. I can't actually remember where I got this one. This is a really good quality patch, and I can't remember where I got it. I think it might have been gbfans.com, but I can't remember. But I think it might have been there. I'd say I'm 60% certain it was from there, but a very good quality patch. Nowadays, if you're really fussy about a screen accurate patch, I believe the Calgary Ghostbusters do the most screen accurate from what I've been told. I don't have one yet. I might get one once I eventually replace the suit. Now, the name badge, you can buy name badges of the Ghostbusters, but most Ghostbusters fans like to have their own name, like I've got mine here. Now, this patch I actually had custom made by someone. There's no point me telling you it was, because it wasn't a big company. It was just some person who I was emailing from a forum, and when I emailed them a couple of years ago to do some more patches, never heard back from them, so I'm assuming they're out of business. And I did try them a few times. Now, if you've got your own franchise, a lot of us design our own patches to have on this shoulder. So the normal patch will go on your right shoulder. The left shoulder would normally be left blank, or if you're putting your franchise patch on. So obviously you need to design a patch or hire someone to do it. And remember, if you're hiring an artist, pay them. Don't expect stuff for free. And then you can get this made. Now, I had mine made by an eBay seller in the UK called, I think it's pronounced Os Patch. I will put a little thing up down here with their name. But yeah, highly recommend them if you're going to get your own custom made patches. And whilst I've not had one of my name done by that company, I'm sure they'll do a good job there as well. So the belt. So these are pistol belts, they are known as. And again, I got this from GB Fans originally when I bought my jumpsuit. And very good quality, and it's lasted a long time, which is surprising considering, you know, the amount of weight and stuff that it holds. They're very easy to adjust. You have this hook here, and that can hook into any of these eyelets. So put it back, then you pull that tight, so you can make it smaller or bigger. Now for the Ghostbuster with the larger waist, I have been told that you can actually clip two of these together to make a much bigger belt if need be. And like I said, I got this from GB Fans, but I'm sure if you check eBay, Amazon, the internet, you'll easily find a pistol belt. So yeah, now as you can see, I have various key fobs on here. Now, honestly, I can't remember where I got these key fobs from. I think it was some guy off eBay many years ago. Key fobs not the most difficult thing. I had a quick look on Google and loads come up from different sellers. I did get my GB2 key fobs from Keymaster Props. So I'm sure he'll do these ones as well. And I'm afraid it's the same with some of my holsters. I can't remember, again, who I got them off. I think that was eBay. The one for the trap was actually a Ben Kent holster, which I'll go over that a bit more when I get to my trap. But there you go. That is the belt and some of the key fobs. Elbow pads, the next part of your Ghostbusters costume. Now, there's many options. These ones are from GB Fans, who most people consider to make the best elbow pads for the Ghostbusters community. I don't disagree with that. These are really good. I feel like this video is becoming an advert for GB Fans, and it's not. Most of my other stuff come from other places. But really good quality. Now, I believe the original ones were like knee pads for karate and that sort of thing. So you'd wear them over your knees. And if you look up knee pads, like karate knee pads or something on eBay, you'll come up with stuff that looks very similar but a different colour. This elastic bit will generally go up a little bit more out. And some people wear them like that, which is fine. I don't like that look personally, but if you like it, that's cool. Again, normally they're the wrong colour as well. Normally they're white. So you can either dye them, or a lot of people spray them with a grey spray paint. And if you do buy those ones, you can also trim them down and hem them or tuck them in. So there's lots of options. Personally, I recommend the GB Fans ones. I think they're really great. But like I said, there's plenty of options out there. The yellow hose. Now, I know some people that don't like this and don't bother with it on their costume, which is fine if you don't like it. It is just a yellow flexible hose, and you have a hose connector on your costume there. Now, my hose connector and this come from Keymaster Props. Now, this part would connect to the hose connector on your leg. Now, to make it connect a bit better, I put some clear tape around there just to make it feel a bit tighter so it never falls out. And then in the film, the other end would just sort of tuck in behind under the belt. Now, some people make key fobs like this one to go on the back of your belt, and that connects onto there easily enough. Now, I can't remember if I got that key fob from Keymaster Props or if I got it from someone else, to be honest, but that is probably the best option, because if you have it tucked in, it could end up just falling and dangling out. Another part of the costume is the boots. What boots are you going to wear? If you wear boots, you know, I've seen people wear Converse and all sorts of different types of footwear, and they look great. I think the most important thing overlooked when it comes to your boots is comfort. You know, you're going to be on your feet all day wearing heavy equipment. You've got to go have comfort over screen accuracy on this one, in my opinion. Now, the screen accurate boots, people say they're by a company called Proton. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Some people have disputed that. I'm not really a boot expert, so, you know, I can't say for sure. A lot of people have also used Carolina boots. These are American brands, and although I've thought about importing some in the past, I just thought if I get them and they're not comfortable, it's a lot of money, and I like to try on my shoes if possible, which isn't always possible. The boots I'm wearing at the moment are Motorhead boots by EMP, and they very much look the part. You know, they're tall boots. The Motorhead Warpig logo on the side is embossed, so it's very subtle. You can't tell they're Motorhead boots unless you really look at them. But I've worn trainers before as well at conventions. I did a 2-day event last summer, and you know, my boots are pretty comfortable now. I've really worn them in, but still, after wearing them all day, my feet were killing, so I wore trainers the next day. I kind of think if you're in costume and someone looks down and goes, "Oh, your footwear's a bit weird or crap," maybe you're not getting it right up here. but like I say, I think comfort over style is definitely the way to go with them. And if you go with the untucked look, you can get away with pretty much anything. But yeah, that's about the boots. So they are the parts of the actual costume. Now we're going to move on to the equipment. Now, the bit that everyone wants, and the bit that's most essential, is the Proton pack. I would say that's more essential than having a PK meter dangling off your belt. But because the Proton pack is the best bit, I'm going to save talking about that until the end. Now, if you don't have the budget to add loads of equipment to your belt, like you know, you can't afford a PK meter hanging off or a trap or a belt gizmo, a very cheap thing to do is to get some gloves. I believe these were like called chemical gloves. I remember getting them for like a few quid off eBay. And I don't actually really use these on my costume or ever wear them when I'm out. But if you just tuck them in to your belt and have them hanging over it, immediately makes it look like you've got more on your belt, because you've got these and they take up quite a bit of space. And they did use them in the film, so a very good way and cheap way of adding something to your costume. The belt gizmo. Now, in the film, the original prop was made from the insides of a Sanyo calculator, and it basically just hangs on your belt. So you have a holster. That will go through there, hang underneath. Now, this is one of those things, it's hardly noticeable in the film, and to be honest, you could get away with doing anything for this. I know a lot of people 3D print these now. You could just get some old circuit board, a similar size, add some bulbs and things to the top, and you know, you've got yourself a belt gizmo. This little part clips to your belt. This goes on your belt as well, and it hangs like this. So like I said, Sanyo calculator was the original prop. If you find one of those, they generally go for hundreds and hundreds of pounds, ridiculous money. My one is a sponge face kit, and I bought it as the kit, so I had to solder all the bits on. My soldering is really bad, so it took me a while, but it was a really great kit, and I think it looks great, it looks the part, so very happy with how that came out. But like I said, if you haven't got the money to buy a sponge face kit, I know there's lots of options now on Etsy and eBay where people will 3D print them. The belt gizmo in Ghostbusters 2, which Spongeface also did a kit for, was actually just some, I think it was black leather, where they drew the circuit board on with a pen and then had some tubes with some bright coloured wires just stuck through. So lots of options out there. And talking of Spongeface, this is where I got my walkie-talkie. The original walkie-talkie is a Motorola MT500, and it has like a short stubby antenna. Sometimes they come with really long ones. If they do, you can pull this cap off, like I did, cut it down. It's quite hard to cut through, and then stick that cap back on. And these just screw off. So if you find one of the stubby ones, you can also replace it with that. Now, this is an original one, but as I said, I bought this from Spongeface because he added a sound kit. So if you turn it on...
Back off, man. I'm a scientist. Listen. You smell something?
So... does quotes from the film. There was loads of different options if you twiddle with the dials. The holster I got from Firehouse Props, and it's worth keeping an eye on their Facebook page. They often get holsters and real life guards and stuff in. Other options, Spirit Halloween did a walkie-talkie that did actually do movie quotes as well, and you know, it looks like a generic walkie-talkie and did come with a holster. Doesn't look as good as the real thing, obviously, but it still looked pretty good. I believe people have started 3D printing these now as well. And the thing is, again, like I was saying about the jumpsuit, most people ain't going to note the difference between a screen-accurate one and a pair of just generic beige overalls. And that's the same with this. You know, you could pretty much get any kind of walkie-talkie and you're going to look the part. Okay, so PKE meter, really cool prop. This is one from Matty Collector back in the day. That I added a sound kit from someone in Germany, so it actually has accurate sounds. And very cool it is. And there's a lot of options when it comes to the PK meter. These were originally made out of an Iona shoe polisher, of all things, which is quite interesting. And people have bought those shoe polishers and made their own out of those. The Matty Collector one, I think, is great. You know, it looks great, it's sturdy, it's served me a long time. I can't remember when this came out now. It's got to be at least 10 years now, I think. I can't remember, but like I said, it's served me a long time and it's really good. And other options, Ruby's, Spirit Halloween, they've done their own ones. They look very good as well. A little bit cheaper looking than the Matty Collector, but you know, people paint them and all that. One of the things a lot of people didn't like about the Ruby's one is it has this belt clip on the back, and a lot of people have pulled that off, filled it in and sanded it to look really good. One of the problems that this and the Spirit Halloween Ruby's ones had was the sounds. They just make this like really annoying beeping sound, like beep, 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 and not the good sounds. Now, a tiny little PK meter come out, and that had the correct sounds. Now, I know someone, I can't remember who it was someone in one of my videos said they were going to try taking the sounds out of that and putting into their Spirit PK. So I don't know how that went, but it's worth a try. So, Ecto goggles. Now, with all this equipment, there's so many options now that we didn't have, you know, 10 years ago. Like the way 3D printing has advanced, there's so many sellers now who are selling 3D printed parts for the PK, the goggles, the trap. So it's very easy to find all of this stuff. But it doesn't have to be accurate if you can't afford it or anything like that. You know, make them out of cardboard, foam. There's so many options. With my goggles, didn't add any electrics to these, but the main shell was a Nicotron shell. I believe Nicotron retired from making props. I don't think he made them anymore, but he provided these little bits and the straps, which was really good. The padding is nice thick padding, which I got off eBay. It was designed for a virtual reality headset, so it worked quite nicely. The lenses were from someone on GB Fans. I think it was called Heavy Props, and they're actual metal and very, very sturdy, because I wanted these to be metal. I'm more of a fan of using real metal than painted metal, or you know, fake metal as such. But that's just me. But again, you know, there's so many options as well. The goggles did differ between GB 1 and 2, and of course in Afterlife they had the camera attachment. So yeah, decide which ones you want. And again, you don't have to even do the goggles if you don't want to. The Ghost Trap is probably the second most popular prop after the Proton pack. Everyone wants one of these. They're just cool. And again, lots of options available nowadays. It's never been easier to put together a Ghostbusters costume. There's just so many options. Now, if you want to go the official route, this one is a Matty Collector trap that I've completely modded, which I'll talk about in a minute. But also Ruby's, Spirit Halloween, they make ghost traps. Doesn't come with a pedal, and it has a button up here to open the trap. Now, I actually used one of those in my stage show for catching a ghost, but there was a version that come with a pedal, which I believe was only available in Walmart in America. If I'm wrong, correct me. And funny enough, they actually used those traps in Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is really cool. So it makes them very screen accurate when you think about it. They were the ones buried in the field. I think they needed, I can't remember the number of traps now. It was like 100 traps almost. And like, why make them when they can just go and buy them? And then I guess they hooked them all up to some electrics, so they all open simultaneously. Very cool. Also, there's many sellers now who do kits, fully built as well. There's Ben of Kent, Blind Wolf Cosplay. Now, I don't own either of their traps, but I mean, I know Ben of Kent stuff's good quality, and I've only heard good things about Blind Wolf Cosplay's stuff. So like I said, many options. Now, like I said, this is a Matty Collector trap, which you can't buy anymore unless you find them on the secondary market. And like I said, I completely modded this. So removed all the plastic screws, added real ones, added lots of weathering, paintwork, real metal parts here, real lens, real resistors, real ribbon cable, just completely boofed it up, basically. Now, Ben of Kent did do a V-hook cover, so the battery cover has a V-hook on that connects to the holster, which I did mention earlier. So here is the holster, the Ben of Kent holster, and it comes with a 3D printed holster, not this leather part on front, I'll talk about it in a second, and the V-hook. Now, I added the leather. I bought some leather off eBay, cut it round, riveted it to the holster. I also added this strap for extra security. So, there you go. Let me just show you the matty trap, because it's very cool if you've not seen one. You turn it on. Yeah. Very, very cool. Now, I wear that sometimes on my belt, although what I've taken to doing lately, because I'm the Magic Ghostbuster and when I'm out at events I'm normally performing magic, I've actually mostly replaced wearing a trap now with this leather bag that I made. Can't fit it all on the belt. And that will actually hang from my belt where the trap normally would, and I put my magic props and stuff in there. And talking about this, you know, you can probably find like little leather pouches to put on your belt if you are not using all the equipment, and then you can use those to carry things, keys, wallet and all that. Because one of the problems is when you've got your pack on and all that, I don't like putting much in these top pockets. Like you put your keys in there and all that, and it just looks weird, like creates weird shapes. And the lower pockets, if you've got lots of gear on, it can actually make them hard to access. And talking about the lower pockets on the jumpsuit, which I forgot to mention earlier, they're not pockets. I think they like to get air in or something, because there was no pockets in them, so I actually ended up stitching some pockets into them and then very rarely use them. So one last thing to talk about, and that is the Proton pack, the most exciting part. And again, like with all the equipment now, it's never been easier. There's so many options out there now. If you want to go really, really cheap, inflatable Proton packs, if that's your thing, that's cool. I can't imagine many people watching this sort of video will be into the inflatable ones, but that is there if you want a really cheap option. My own personal Proton pack is a Ben of Kent kit, which I put together. Over time, I've replaced like the moulded valves and resistors with real ones. I've now got real clippered valves, all that sort of stuff. And I used a Ninja Tunes light and sound kit, and I recommend both of those. Great stuff. More recently, the Hasbro Plasma Series Spengler Proton pack is an option, which you know, sold just, I can't remember the exact number, was it 21,000 of these? So a lot of fans out there now getting into Ghostbusters cosplaying. And you know, out the box, this thing is great. It's not something I would wear. I'm still sticking with my Ben of Kent pack, but this is great. And, you know, great for modification as well. I've seen a lot of great modifications that people have done on this already on social media. Now, the downside to this is they were a one-time only thing. So if you don't have one, you need to go to the aftermarket, you know, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, those sort of places. The problem with that is, and this is just my opinion, so you can totally disagree with me. At the moment, the average price seems to be about £750, £800 in this country. I think that's going to come down even more. I think it's going to sort of level out about £600 eventually. Could be wrong, who knows? I think at £360, which is what this originally sold for, I guess £5 when you add the wand, because that was separate, and again $500 or so adding the wand. I feel that's a good level to buy it at and to start customising it. I think if you're going to start paying £800 for the pack alone and customising it, you really may as well just go and buy a Ben of Kent kit and make it from scratch, because it will be better and it just, you know, you have so much more satisfaction building it from scratch if you're going to spend that sort of money. But of course, it's up to you what you do. But I think at $360, you know, a great starting base for modifications and stuff. I have bought this as a collectible. I don't intend to wear it out, so I'm not modifying at all. But, you know, every time I look at it, I think, oh, yeah, I could change this and this and this. So it's tempting, but I'm not going to. I kind of wish I bought 2 now, just to modify. But, yeah, really, really cool product. And like I say, great out the box. Out the box, you could wear this to a convention. It's going to impress, you know, people. Really is. Other options. Spirit Halloween and Rubies do a Proton pack. Now, bear in mind, that's about 80% scale, so it causes so many arguments online. If you're happy with it being 80% scale, absolutely go for it. I know some shorter people who have worn that because they feel like a full-size one is a bit big for them. And again, that's great. And you know, people modify those to make them look really good. Out the box, they do look very, very cheap. Admittedly, but again, I've seen some amazing modifications where they look great and fantastic, so that's an option as well. And again, it's one of those things, you can go as far as you want with the modifications and you could make it your own. I've seen people that have like painted them pink. I've seen Turtles themed ones. I've seen Back to the Future themed ones where people have put a flux capacitor on, so all sorts of stuff like that. Other options, make that cardboard, foam. I've seen people do that. Loads of options. Max Factory, I think they're based in America, they got the official license to produce stuff now. So they make the shell and they make all the different parts you can add on. So there's another option for you. Blind Wolf Cosplay, who I don't own any of their props, but I've only heard good things. So, and I have got some stuff on my want list. So hopefully gets a few bits in the future. But I know a few people have bought their Proton pack and they love it. So again, that's another option. So many options when it comes to a Proton pack. So that's a look at my Ghostbusters costume, what is involved with it and how I put it together. I hope that was of use to some of you out there, and thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, keep on busting.